Welcome to Ask Me Anything, keyword me. It's a show where I bring guests to ask me the questions that they've always wanted to ask me, or the questions that maybe you never knew you wanted me answered. You're welcome. With me, Michael Oku. How you doing?
I'm doing great. This is a concept that is dripping in ego
That is
and
very.
narcissism, which is why I love it
You're
and
welcome. There you
respect it.
go. Listen, you see a lot of shows where people just and then podcasts and how many podcasts with wrestlers are there? Right? You've done a lot, right? Big star, big whatever, right? You've done all of yours. We get it. And
That's correct.
and you get there and you sit down and they ask you questions and you answer them, which it's tell me, when have you ever been invited to a show where you were going to be the one answering the questions? Sorry, where you were going to be the one asking the questions. It's the first edition, okay? I'm still very confused because I'm also used to running podcasts and shows where I ask people questions. So I'm also my brain needs to adapt to the concept as well.
So what you're trying to tell me is that there's all this work. If you're a good interviewer and podcaster, what most people normally do is they have to put in this research to try and see if they can ask interesting questions.
Mm-hmm.
But what you've done is you just said, you know what, I'm just going to invite people, press record, and they have to do that part of the work for you.
Well, first of all, you've been here. You saw how long it took to set this up. I think there's a lot of work that I'm doing as well. It's very unfair to say that I'm just doing this for myself. And also, maybe more important than this, it's not exactly that I'm wanting other people to do the work. I just want to have this as an actual interesting concept. People are getting the chance to talk to me, and that is commendable. And in fact, let me just. There you go. You gotta love it.
Was that to peak the audio?
That is. No, my my that was a pat on the back. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You've heard of Michael Oku, I'm sure. He has titles and stuff. It's okay. And I'm being more rude than I wanted to. This is really weird. I'm towing a weird line here. That is
You're
that is
like, you're like, you know what?
what.
Welcome everyone. Screw you. Now ask me whatever you want.
I did ask my guests to prepare a few questions. So that we could discuss whatever topics and questions they want to know. I gave them two indications. They basically asked me the questions that they've always wanted to ask, or a question that they've always wanted to have someone ask them, but no one does because people don't know that about them, and it's something that they like to talk about. I'm actually this makes sense. I know that it's very centerpiece of me to make this an Ask Me Anything, but actually, this is just an opportunity for everyone that I invite on this show to be able to discuss topics that they actually want to talk about. So you're welcome. That's what I'm trying to say here. Michael prepared a few questions to come and ask me. So, Michael, take it away. What's your first question for me?
Perfect. Okay. Question number one. Why orange?
Because it's cool. Now listen. Tastes. Listen. You know that
Taste.
famous
Okay.
sentence, customer is always right. You've heard the sentence, the
Yes.
customer is always right. It's wrongly used, right? Just like blood is thick in the water actually is wrongly used. Because what actually the full expression of that when it was used in the Middle Ages was, let me see if I remember this correctly, the blood of the seal or the blood of the deal is thicker than the water of the womb. Actually, original blood is thick in the water meant the opposite of what people want to make it mean. Originally, blood is thick in the water came from an expression that meant deals in brotherhood are more important than family ties. And just like here, customer is always right, the original expression is the customer is always right in matters of taste. That's the full expression, right? Because taste is not the end point. What you're asking me here is, why do you like this thing? As if there's a certain journey that would explain your taste, but actually taste is the starting point. You like or not like certain things, and therefore your decisions go towards trying to get closer to getting or running away from the things you like. Why orange? Because it tickles my brain a certain way? I don't know, I like it. When I was a
I
kid,
think. Okay.
when I
Oh,
was a
yes. Here
kid,
it is. Here it comes.
you will love this story. When I was a kid, I had at one time, I was probably like 8, 9, 10 years old. At the same time, I had 7 orange t-shirts with different designs on rotation.
So even from youth, you were like, I'm a fan of orange
I like
and the way
orange. It
orange
was,
is.
yeah, it's my favorite color. What do you want me to
Okay.
say?
But I think my questions were more to elaborate what my question was
Okay.
is, I guess, what made you decide to go so strongly down that route for professional wrestling and for your branding the color orange, and considering how hot Taz gets on the color orange, did you ever think, oh, maybe that's the wrong color?
Yeah, but Tasman and better not see the third tights that I've ever worn, which were the black ones with the orange design. Also, we better not see Sunshine Machine versus True and Lacey. Uh,
Oh my
that
god.
was that
Oh,
was that was very funny. And I still don't understand. I love Taz because I can't crack him. I don't know what the deal is. You know what I mean? Like,
who he is the person?
is he joking?
Is he
Is he not
miserable or is he
joking?
just?
Is it
Well,
a
it's definitely
cultural
both.
thing? Because I'm from Portugal, right? It took me a while to understand, is he joking in a British concept,
Mhm.
right? Like, is in New Jersey, New York. I don't know. I don't want to be
New York. It's New
right.
York. I think
I'm.
Brooklyn.
Is it
I
cultural?
think
When he's yelling at Shivani on the international version of Dynamite, is he serious?
he's
Would
getting
I be
hot.
able to
He's
handle working with that?
he is 1000% a person that gets hot and has to pull it back. He catches himself getting hot. He's like, you know what? And I bet that's come with old age in terms of the pulling it back. And
But
when he was younger, it was just getting hot.
do you think that he learned the behavior of like it's a learned behavior, like feeling himself getting angry and be like, no, I'm joking, or like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
taking this seriously. Let me learn not to take this seriously.
I feel like
I
that's
guess
for
they're
sure
right.
what's
I
going
guess
on.
it's not that big of a deal.
I feel like for sure that's what's going on. Because I feel like he comes out with so many, not apologies, but apologies and clarifications, which must mean that he has to step back and think, oh no, wait a minute, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I'm reacting wrong.
Maybe he just
Maybe
doesn't understand the internet.
that's it. And which is very likely. Again, the man is in his 50s.
But I appreciate and respect him. I love him that way. I
Oh,
think it's
it's
better
great.
that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, not that he should be so tech savvy and knowing and being down with all the lingo. Not at all. No, yeah. But yeah, just, what was it? Was it Jordan Grace? It was like, she just said his catchphrase in a tweet and oof, he had to reel it back. And he keeps bringing it up so much now to get there before anyone else does in terms of the trademark shows. So I feel like he's like, yeah, maybe I used to be a hothead when I was younger, and I'm now learning the ways. But he'll
There
meet
is
you one
a
day, and he'll get hot again.
there is a picture of me out there in a singlet that is orange and black.
A singlet.
It's an orange and
Oh,
black singlet. It was
oh,
I was in Portugal, was years ago, and the gear that I was using was dying a death. So it was just time to try and find something. And someone I knew had an extra singlet. Shout out James Matthews. Had an extra singlet, and
mm-hmm.
it was like, oh, try this one. And I tried it, and it was honestly the most horrible sight. And I took the picture
This
because
is
it
like,
needed to be marked for eternity. Imagine it's a black singlet with orange, like tiger scratches, right? And a tiger right here.
oh,
Okay,
like Tony the Tiger, the Frosties mascot.
ish,
God,
ish.
this, yeah.
I don't know. I think I have that picture here somewhere. It's not public. That's a
Right.
picture that isn't public. But that same, not that singlet, because the version I wore was a smaller version. There's an exact same singlet that is bigger, that is used by him, that has been used by him publicly. And I'm going to send you that picture so you can imagine me wearing a singlet that looks exactly like that, right?
Just put it on. Okay. All right.
And Taz would probably lose his mind. No, because it's not a tribal design thingy. It's not like Randy Orton's back tattoo with a number
You're
in the
right.
middle. Do you think Taz is
But
aware
even
that Will Caven uses 13?
yes,
He
yes,
is.
yes. I heard the numbers the other day. I didn't know the numbers of when people of how many people watch like the 229 live streams. And I was like, oh, so I was surprised at the number. Silly me thinking it was like stupidly low. It's a very, very respectable amount. And it must be a worldwide number. And, so for that, I think that one of them is probably, he said it's old Pete,
I would love.
old Orange Pete.
We're talking about Taz so much. This is gonna get to him, and I'm
All right.
gonna Taz. If you're watching this, if you want to be on my show and come up with questions to ask me, feel free to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'd
That'll
love
be.
that.
I'm sure he would love to do that. It would just be this. It would just be on the color orange. Was your first gear that you ever had
My
as a wrestler
first.
orange?
Okay, imagine this. You may have
Yeah.
seen the picture. Okay. You have probably almost definitely seen the picture of my first gear as a heel, which is shiny orange jorts, okay, and a shiny silver vest, and the vest has just my name and the symbol that I was using at the time in orange, and the shorts had the symbol that I was using in silver, right? It was orange and silver. So that's the first heel gear that I wore. But before that, when I was 16 years old and doing the first shows that you do, right?
Yeah.
I wore orange jorts, but not like Lucha gear orange jorts, which is what I got my first that gear that I just told you. I went to like a local market in Lisbon, and I just scavenged for like training orange jorts, and I found exactly what I wanted. Okay, and an orange cap.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
one of the biggest company of energy and gas in Portugal is called Galp, and their color is orange. So me being energetic young babyface with my orange cap and my orange shorts, I would be called the gas delivery man on speed backstage because of what I was wearing and the way that I was coming out. Why
Incredible.
orange? Because no one else. We're talking about a time where everyone's gear was black, and it was just a thing of like, let me do something
Of
different.
course.
What do I like? I like orange. I'm gonna go and do orange until to this day. The next set of gear that I'm gonna get, which is around the corner, will be the first time in my career that I haven't worn orange while wrestling.
Ooh. Ooh. Did you
Mm-hmm.
know? Okay. Oh, wow. Wow. That was big. We'll ignore, we'll like put an asterisk with the contender gear because
Yeah, I
yes, the
forgot about
Portuguese
that.
flag was there, very
Yeah,
tiny.
but there's no orange there. That was Andy Quilden's idea, by the way.
But yes, yes, that's I don't think people know that. I do know that. He was like, oh, maybe you have a little something, a little thing for yourself. But but that's gear that you didn't make a decision on in terms of like fully. So
Mm-hmm.
every decision, every gear that
Yeah,
you have had a choice in making creatively
yeah.
has a bit of orange, and this is going to be your first one coming up soon. What a tease!
So I had
Good. To,
those jorts bought in the market. I had the Ilucha jorts. Oh, that's not true. Because when those Ilucha shorts were dead, I changed to black tights with green details. That was just some running tights in Portugal, and that is online. I can show you videos of me wrestling in that
there
and
is,
in white Longsdale boots.
we need well, we need B-roll. The podcast needs B-roll. If we're
It
doing video,
will. We'll go here.
100% needs it for the listeners.
It's very funny that this podcast was supposed to be my concept for a show, and it's becoming your concept for a show.
I don't. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, my idea for because of a show was everybody's first gears, and then we kind of go. We probably go through the evolution of their gear to what they're currently wearing and what made them influence it. And somehow, well, this is what you said your concept of the show was early on, just a few minutes ago. You'd be like, that's what people actually want to ask, maybe
There you go.
themselves.
There you go.
and I'd done it. That's why. That's
While
why
you
orange came to my head.
you only started using. You've always done black until
Mhm.
the white and gold gear.
I guess the Destination Everywhere
The
trunks, which
Destination
are
Everywhere,
like
yeah.
were like a grey velvet,
That
and
was
yeah,
great.
that
That was
was
sick.
which was a yeah, like again back to like a unique color, and me and Mills were set on velvet as like a as the material. We were just like, okay, this is going to make us look different from the gear we both normally wear. So it's like, oh, this is our team gear. But even before that, yeah, the trunks, the black trunks was for my first match was 100% plain. All my gear was 100% plain, but that was because I was in a rush. I was in a rush to get gear. It was 2 weeks. Big Stitch did plain gear in 2 weeks' time, so I got it done. But then I still my influences were The Rock and you know everybody from the Attitude Era wore black trunks. So I was like, oh, it's good for them. It's good for me. So I was like, okay, it's going to be black trunks, different color, different design color, but it always be black. And then I caved in. And I was like,
It's
oh no, screw it.
it's very funny to me that there was a period there of wrestling post Attitude Era, but before John Cena, where people tried trunks of other colors with black design and then immediately
Yeah,
ran away from it.
yeah,
It's so
yeah.
funny.
And they were just all jacked guys, just that little period where there's just all these jacked guys, just
Blue, and
yeah.
then immediately like that Randy Orton wearing the blue trunks and then immediately getting out of it is like he was a
Mm-hmm.
standard bearer of that, of just like running away from that. But you didn't, and look at you now.
Just look at me. Look, well, it was that. I remember the Randy Orton DVD. The For me, it's an infamous scene where he's just like backstage and his trunks are just hanging up. And he's looking at his trunks and he's like, okay, blue, red, whatever the other color is. And he's like, I'm gonna go with red. And they're all just black trunks, but with his very dark, detailed design saying Autumn. It's all the same trunks. And so I remember the first time I actually was able to have multiple gears at the same time. It was the black trunks. I said, now we play on them. Had the half crab in the back. It was like red, gold, silver. So okay, good. I'm a proper wrestler now.
Do you still
But
own
then
all your gear?
Goldberg, I've not sold any of my gear. No, I've not got any inquiries from lovely customers who may DM you. I know they've DM'd other people, but I don't know. Yeah, there's still that thing about having them. That I each have like a special thing with all of them. That I'm like, do I want to sell it?
I got
I
it
think
here.
I might.
I got it all right
I
there.
think. Wow. Well, yeah. This is it's going to start. Mine's starting to pile up because now, obviously, with my gear now, it comes with like different knee pads and different kick pads. So now it's a big amount other than just like trunks, which weigh nothing. I may sell some gear. I think what I'll never sell are my jackets. So if I could tell myself, oh man, yeah, okay, I'll probably sell those, but the jackets will stay. That's probably what's likely to happen.
I need to clarify that I don't have neither of the jorts. Neither of the orange jorts here with me. The first pair of all just ripped. It just ripped and got repaired and ripped again. And the second one was the one that, as I said, basically the orange detached itself from the shorts. So
Mm.
I believe I just threw it away. The oldest set of gear that I have there is my the white tights.
I've still got my acid wash jeans.
Yes,
Yeah, that's the important. If anybody was wondering, I still have those, and I don't. I feel like I'll keep those for as long as possible.
right. What's the second
Okay.
question?
How old are you?
Older than you. Sorry. Oh no, wait. I can edit this out. Younger than you.
But what's your
I
what
don't.
is your insecurity with your age?
Oh
Come
no,
on,
no. I got I
honest.
got no insecurities over my age. I have way more insecurities over the number of years that I've actually been doing wrestling
Right.
because like I have zero insecurities on my age. I think I'm really young, even in wrestling terms. Like, I think I am the perfect age,
In the grand,
right?
yeah, especially in this day and age. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, being older than Tyler Bate, when Tyler Bate was winning the United Kingdom
The
Championship,
UK tour.
yeah, exactly, like, it almost, like, I think we talked about it at the time, like, it's too late, right? But, like, it
Yeah.
almost pushed me in that direction, but it didn't. um I'm 32, which I've been gunning for the last 2 years at, like, being ready for be at a certain level with wrestling at this age. Because, and tell me if this is wrong, but normally people, if you don't agree with this, but normally people agree with me on this, where, like, 31 sounds old, but 32 sounds young, right?
I haven't really heard that in particular,
Oh,
but
this
maybe
is this is
because
me.
31 is like
To
that's
me,
how you
31
feel.
sounds old, but 32 sounds young, just in terms of, like, perception, right?
Why would you think that? Why what
I don't know. I don't know. It just feels, it's super. It's feeling, right. I cannot explain. It's just like there's a little bit of, like, I feel like it's much common to say he's already 31 than he's only 31, but it's much common to say he's only 32 as opposed to he's already 32.
oh, maybe. And I guess 31 is like you're still freshly gone over the hump of 30.
Exactly.
And the change from 29 to 30 feels like a big jump in age. But if you're already there in your 30s, but mid 30s, sorry, early 30s, you kind of see it as, oh, right, you're still young. And I feel like, again, in this day and age, nowadays in pro wrestling, people talk about, especially for men, that 40 is your prime.
Mm-hmm. Which
And
is
and then
insane.
that's a big, yeah, which is a big, yeah, it's insane at the same time. But it's also, I guess it kind of makes sense. Because if you're able to look after your body, which if people say, oh, people look after their body more, which is like based off lifestyle choices, but also, looking after your body is part of wrestling. So maybe people are wrestling in ways that are better looking after their bodies, which I have a hot take on that,
Okay.
which I might as well get into, which is the way we're doing looking after our bodies is people are bumping less than when
Hmm.
they used to back in the day.
And in
And
better,
bumping,
in more safe
but
environments as
bumping is the
well.
thing that breaks down people's bodies more than anything else.
Can
People
I?
are chopping way more, taking strikes from more, all these super kicks and stuff, way safer than taking a bump and feed.
You know what I think is also a factor that is important here? People are
What's
sleeping
that?
more.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Wrestlers are
Well, yeah.
sleeping more than they were back in those days. Like, the
Back in the day.
partying thing and the rock star environment. There's definitely, like, habits that will probably break your body down. But then at the same time, one of the habits that was coming with it is that you were just staying awake the entire time.
Lack
So,
of
like, it's
recovery.
it's about recovery. Yeah, it's just like we are just sleeping more. I sometimes, when I have weekends of a lot of traveling, I remember. Um, I don't want to talk about specifically who it is, but I remember, like, sharing the majority of a weekend with someone. Uh, they didn't do the same shows that I did, but we were, like, aware it was like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing, right? And on Sunday, this person gets concussed, right?
Mm.
And I'm like, this concussion doesn't just come from, obviously, the fact that things happen in wrestling and concussion going to happen and everything, but it's not normal for this to happen with this person. But here's all the hours they didn't sleep. Here's all the, like, the wacky schedules that they had with traveling and everything. Their eating and their hydration probably wasn't there on point, and all those things eventually accumulate. Right, and when there's,
Mm-hmm.
like, a crazy weekend or something, and by Sunday, the likelihood of something happening is higher. And I remember thinking that
Right.
when I was basically going through that, I was just, like, looking back at the weekend that I had and that I know this person had, And like, well, you weren't fully rested. You weren't 100%. We're insane. What are we doing here wrestling? Right? Not
Of
any other
course.
sport, but well, first of all, not any other sport does three highly competitive, um, sports intense things, whatever the term would be, in
The
3
actual
days in
events
a
will
row.
happen. Yeah.
Right? And when they do, even if it's not like at a professional, because I'm thinking like, oh, professionals get to rest and they have their buses and they have all this and that, but like, sure, well, not only the professionals. You then have people who will play football, or maybe rugby is a better example. Like, will play rugby in this country once a week and they train and everything, but it's like they don't do 3 games of rugby in 3 consecutive days in 3 parts of the country where they don't get to rest much. So like it doesn't accumulate like that. It would be insane for people to do that. But
Mhm.
in wrestling,
Yeah, exactly. That's a good day. That's a good week.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
for us.
that's what we
That's what
want.
we're
That's what
looking
we're looking
for.
for.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. Of course, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that can make us susceptible to any kind of injury, really.
Mm.
Just that. Yeah, I always do feel like on that Sunday, and it feels like, oof, this is the one where I'm pulling myself up to have this one last match. Then I'm done for the weekend, and it just you do feel every single thing from the other days where you're wrestling, even arguably training as well. Add that into it, and you're just trying to get through it. I'll give an example. So with Rev Pro, there's always the Stevenage Sheffield weekender. It's Stevenage on a Saturday, then the Sheffield on Sunday. And it's not only, I'd argue it's more so the travel than the actual wrestling at Stevenage that like just makes it way more difficult to have that same kind of preparedness and energy that you'd had for the Stevenage show. Because you've done it now. Now it's time to drive. Maybe or get even just riding. I'd argue like you get halfway to then sleep to then go the rest of the halfway to then get to the venue. Maybe with like an hour before doors, and off you go. You got to give them the same. You want to give them the same kind of energy and show that you gave people the day before. But you're at the end of the week add going to to your shoot job if you have one. You're independent wrestlers. Add the training that you're doing. Here it is, last day of the week, all this travel. Now go out there and move that body around that's been cramped up for hours and hours and hours. It's tough. It's definitely a tough thing, and for sure, if that's where people can get hurt, and that's where people have got hurt many times.
Recovery, man. I'm telling you. Like, I stream on Mondays because I want to do nothing Monday morning. It's a
Unfortunate that
slow
like
thing while still being able uh to kind of like do something that is a little bit like low maintenance. I'm sitting here, I'm chilling, right? But that's the way it is. Like, I
mhm.
have a rule of not going to the gym on Mondays, not just because who wants to go to a gym on Mondays, but also because it's normally my weekends are going to be super heavy, right? To answer your question though, I have complex not about my age but about how long I've been training wrestling,
Yeah.
because in August, on 11th of August, your call show, it's going to be 17 and a half years since the first bump I took.
The
And
exact day to the day.
to the day, 11th of February 2007 was the first time, my first wrestling training.
All right.
Um, and and because it's Portugal, it's weird. Like, I will kind of count training times on this, and I'm going to come back to this point. So I don't like, and I'm discussing this here because it's kind of show we're having here, right? Where you asking me questions, so I have to answer them. Um, I am not a fan of like I don't wave the flag of 17 and a half year veteran in wrestling, because my 17 and a half years do not mean less than someone who was here in this country for 10, maybe half
Yeah,
than that.
for
But
sure.
it is not like, I don't want to put the asterisks there. Like, the worst thing you can do is like, oh, 17 and a half, but here's all the asterisks, right? Which
You
only
want to
will
make an
make it
excuse in that
worse.
sense.
But it's like,
Yeah.
8 of these years were in Portugal, and when it comes to development, it's not the same. I started training at 14, so I started really, really early. And as I'm hitting what I consider to be a peak in my, not the peak, but a peak in my wrestling ability and understanding and everything, ready to get that next step, uh, someone sneezed and the world shut down. Right? So
Right.
like then I lost all those, and then it was like the recovering, the revving up years after that, right? So it is. I feel like right now I am there. There's a transfer from the your learning years, the years where you're developing and finding yourself, to the years to the then there's like a next step of that where like okay now you know what you're doing, now it's time to like make a name for yourself and be a star, and like I just passed that barrier, right?
Mhm.
But I passed that barrier 17 years in, which is weird because if you think of anyone else that goes like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for 17 years, like okay, you're on the way down, you're winding down, right? That is the
Right.
subconscious. That is the subconscious expectation of people when they hear that name, that number. Um, but that is not the case, right? It put me at ease when I've been spending so much time with the Mexican wrestlers because I look around the locker room and here are people that are
There we
the
go.
same age who've also been doing this for 15 years and stuff because they also start training when they're really young.
Start, yeah, exactly. And then the people who are older, then they've got 30 plus years of experience, and they're just wrestling. Fine, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I feel the same way. As in similar things of like, even though it's way less years, there is still always that thing of that you just have to just remember to always just put at the back of your head of, this many years must mean this. This age must mean this. And it's just that reminder that so many things happen to people at different ages. So many people find success at different ages. And then the different journeys, like you said, like your 17 years is completely different from somebody else's 17 years. Um, what's interesting is what people's expectations are. Again, like you said, like when people hear it, what do they think? What do they expect? What's their judgment when they say it? When they hear, oh, what, Michael's 31? Oh, then I can no longer hide as the young up and comer. And
It
should
is.
I be doing something more?
We won't say. No one's going to watch this anyways. It's fine. Uh, where in your case, it's different because uh, the amount of time people have seen you in the big stage, they're expecting you to be a certain age, right? So like you're a little bit older than people than the standard that people are used to. But the problem, as you're saying, is the standard because you were just saying like we were like it's insane that 40 is the peak, but if you look at the history of professional wrestling, it isn't. It so just happened
Mm-hmm.
that when the
Yeah,
biggest company in the world needed to defeat a competition that was beating them, they had to go young and plant the idea that 40 was too old, right? Um,
right,
the
right.
reason why WCW success happens in the first place, the in the Attitude Era triggers as it is because Randy Savage and then Hulk Hogan were deemed too old to be stars in WWF, although they were 40.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that, yeah, they proved that they are still draws and still they can get the job done in their own way. And again, what that 40 looked like athletically is so different from what Randy Orton looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that opportunity now to get to that age. And I think the only thing that I debate within my head is, okay, yes, they were 40 and they were still finding success, or they reached their peak. But before they reached their peak, they were still world champions. They still got there. And again, my age mates, the people who were born in '93, are Pete Dunne and Will Ospreay.
Mm-hmm.
So even I, as much as it feels like I'm having a very, very rapid when it comes to ascent in wrestling, I'm like, yeah, but those are my age mates. Yes, I'm less experienced, but the fact is, I'm close, but I'm not so close. What is it gonna? There's all these things that just keep
I
You keep
think
playing tennis, dare I say,
I
in my
think
brain.
that you were talking about age mates, and like in wrestling is much more about like experience mates than age mates. Um,
For sure.
and it's the reason why, and I think it's much fairer to compare that, level of experience, because it goes both ways, both your development and the kind of places that you're ready for, right?
Hmm.
Um, and that is part of the reason why, as I said, I have a bit of a complex talking about my experience, because there will be people that have, it's basically the point we just talked about. I don't have experience, mates. There's been no one who's been
Right.
through the experience that I've had, or very few people have been through the experience that I have, because my number doesn't just mean a number. There's a lot of it that comes behind it, right? And even me hearing
100%.
saying this and listening from the outside is like, sounds like an excuse when it isn't. That's why it's like,
Right.
I'd rather not talk about it and tell everyone that I'm younger than Michael Oku, which I am.
Okay, there it is. It's well, yeah, whatever makes you feel better, I guess.
All right.
Whatever you indoctrinate your trainees into thinking. Okay.
Oh no, not my reputation.
Oh, no.
Last question.
Why don't you? Okay, it's still kind of on the same subject. No, not really. But um, why don't you have any goals for yourself in the future?
What do you mean?
Because I feel like you've asked me. I feel like no, no. I feel like you told me that you don't like the concept of goals as a concept, or
Yes.
you learned recently about it.
Yes. Yes.
So, what do you have in place of that?
I have
Is my question.
themes. I don't have goals. I have themes. It's not. It's a
Okay.
concept that's completely stolen from CGP Grey. It's
Right.
not my
Yes, but
concept, but
please.
I like it. Um, Here's a very small explanation of his approach that I agree with a lot, and I'll add it in the show notes. You can see the video where he explains this, and just full disclosure. Well, the themes concept came before they developed a themes journal. They developed a product that goes with it, as a journaling item. But the themes were discussed as a thing years before that journaling thing. It wasn't a thing that was created to sell the product. New Year's resolution. They're horrible. They're bad to put together. They will do one or two things. Either they will be meaningless because after 3, 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks, or whatever, you're not following them anymore, and which means that every year the cycle of putting resolutions in is going to be destroyed because they don't actually mean anything to you, or they're a source for self-loathing because you told yourself that you were going to do something different this year, and here you are 6 weeks in and you're not doing that anymore. And the reason why that's happening is because you're failing, not you, just people in general are failing to think or to consider, they're failing to consider the important aspect of a year is a long time and a lot of things happen. Circumstances change way quicker than that. And to put yourself into a goal without considering that, with that long of a framework, without considering that circumstances can change, can be very toxic and can be very demoralizing, or it can make you numb to creating goals in the first place. Basically, it doesn't become productive at all. By having themes instead of goals, so for example, instead of having the goal of losing 15 kilograms by the end of the year, if the theme of the year is health, or I don't know, slimness wouldn't be the word, but just a theme of losing body fat or losing weight, then as long as by the end of the year the results that you got match the theme, you can still check it as a success, and it gives you the leeway for circumstances. Because if you want to lose 15 kilos in a year and you are considering losing, this becomes what, like 1.5 kilograms a month basically, and then suddenly you break your ankle and there's 4 months of the year that you cannot do any cardio, then you're not going to hit your goal. But if you put that number there, you're either going to be tightened by circumstances and you're going to do something that is unhealthy so they can achieve a number that you created in your mind in the first place, or you're not going to achieve it and you're going to have self-loathing over it without considering the circumstances, right? He has this great way of putting visualizing the future, which is imagine a path with a lot of ramifications, but the path is foggy. You don't see where the ramifications go. All you can see is the ramifications that are in front of you. And you have kind of an idea. You have a compass where like you kind of want to go north, so you want to go in kind of in that direction, and this ramification leads you in this direction, but you don't actually know because it's foggy if you are able to go to where you want to go taking that path. You just know that you're going to get one step closer, right? So I think that setting goals like that, for me, it'll be different from person to person. I just know a lot about me, and I know that for me, the amount of times that goal setting has brought self-loathing as opposed to results is very it just happened so much that I knew that I needed to change my approach, and that's why I don't do it. It doesn't mean when people hear me say that I don't have goals, they hear that I'm just floating, letting the waves
That you're not
take me
ambitious.
wherever they take me, where that isn't the case. I have plenty of goals and things that I want to do and achieve. I just try to focus much more on the things that I can do that will eventually create the results for that to happen. And I will focus on that in a, dare I say, holistic, as dangerous as this word used in this context can be, but as a whole, holistic, higher perspective approach to it, as opposed to a minutiae goals and targets approach to it. For example, I am in a journey to lose fat. It's been the bane of my existence. I've done it wrongly before, and I have to be very careful with how I do it. As frustrated as it can be to people that know me and want the best for me, to see that it feels like nothing is happening, stuff is happening. But one of the reasons why I'm getting the success that I'm getting lately is because my approach is not chasing a number, is taking the actions. The theme when it comes to my look is consistency. I am looking for the theme of consistency as opposed to the target number that's going to make me feel horrible when I don't achieve it. So that if there's a week like last week where I did everything perfect and the number on the scale went up, my self-esteem and my happiness is not predicated to the fact that happened, and I am able to understand that circumstances are what they are, and what I was looking for was the consistency, not the number. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes loads of sense. That makes loads of sense. There are similarities that I kind of resonate with that, where like, yeah, I feel in wrestling, so many people, I feel like it's nearly like, I'll be as harsh to say, if someone puts a goal in terms of making it, oh my God, I've heard like, oh, listen, I want to make it. I've heard the word, the age 30, I've heard that from a lot of people, which is ironic. It's just funny to me. Like, if I don't make it by 30, then I'll probably stop. And to me, I feel like if you have that mindset, you should just stop right now. Just stop right now, because nothing's going to happen the way you expect it to. There's so many unforeseen circumstances, and there's so many things that you can't control. That, are you looking to find success in this or not? Okay. If you are, not let it happen, but it's kind of wait for it to happen. Wait for it to happen when it happens. In the meantime, do what you feel are the right things that can get you towards that. Something I've always been saying a lot recently, in like the last year, is that I feel like I'm going in the right direction. Because that's what usually comes when people are asking me, well, so where do you think you're going to end up being? Would you sign this contract? I was like, listen, I didn't think I'd be in, I didn't really plan and have a goal to be like, I must wrestle at Arena Mexico ASAP, or this is where I need to get to. But I felt like I was doing all the right things in preparation to find a success. Now, that's what success looked like for me. was to then wrestle in front of freaking so many people. And now that that's been open to me, I'm like, okay, that would be a thing I'd like to do again. But who knows? Somewhere, something might take me another place. But I need to tell myself, oh, am I heading in the right direction? Am I doing all the right things that is putting me in the right direction? For me, that answer is yes. So that's enough for me to just what that's allowed me to do is enjoy the journey. Is enjoy how things are right now. So many people are frustrated and annoyed and angry because they're like, why am I not there? Why is that person there? And not me. And what's helped me so much to just enjoy the dinners that I'm able to have, or if I go out to see people, or just be able to wrestle someone who would be a cool person to wrestle. And I am able to enjoy all those, I'd say smaller things, but they're important things because I'm not dwelling on, but is this isn't where I thought I'd be, or this isn't where I want to be. That's the thing that helps me. And maybe it came from you talking to me and telling me about goals and themes that maybe I started to think of that way. But I remember thinking, I've always never had, I need to be right here. My goal is to go right here. AEW or WWE, if they offered you a contract, well, if they offer me at the contract at the same time, that's incredible. I don't think they'll offer me at the same time. So let me not think of it like that. Let me just do everything to try and get them to offer me something, and then we'll deal with that.
It's
But yeah, that's kind of
a lot of it as well is like there's conversations there, which is the fact that we're talking about things that aren't under your control.
control
One of the most common and more endearing, but it's one of the, like, I don't blame people for doing this. I just find it funny and interesting that it's very common because just it's an interesting perspective. Is when fans come to you and goes, "So when are you gonna wrestle here? When are you guys gonna do that?" I'm like, it's not. I don't know. It's all my choice, right?
yeah.
It is not where we end up. Like the opportunities. Hate that word, but the platforms that we are offered, the opportunities that we are offered, the places that we get to go, they are not under our control. And if we believe that they are under certain extent, I'm going to get into. But if there's a fully belief that they are, then you become the kind of person. Then that's when politics comes in, right? And people can see through the fact that you're only enjoying the time with this person because you want something from them, as opposed to being genuine. And the person can see that through you as well, right? If you
So,
think that you have ownership, that all that ownership is on you. Um, but if, as you're saying, it's approached from a perspective of, um, so yeah, like fans ask that, and it's not on us. It's I would love to, right? I'd love to wrestle for all these places that people would love to see me on. I appreciate the support if people wanted to see that. But if people want to do that, then go to those promotions and places and be like, hey, I pay money to come and see you every week or every month or whatever, and I would like to see this wrestler here because I think he would be good for the show, right? It's their decision, not ours. All we can do is be as ready as we can for when that happens, right? If we go into the other show that we will do one day where we're talking about wrestling training and development. You were talking earlier about the comparison with other people. Why are they somewhere that I'm not and everything? And that is actually very simple. The answer is only one. It's only variations of the same answer, which is you're not good enough yet. All we can do on our end is get good enough, right? What is it about our game, about us professional wrestlers, that needs some work, can be a little bit better? At the stage that we're at right now, it's about details as opposed to being deep, um, lengthy work. We are at the stage where it becomes more and more and more about the details, and there's just so many to focus on, and progression seems to be stagnant, but it's not. It's just linear, just very very slowly linear. Um, but that's all we can do, and then we just need to be good enough so that when things come to us, when the chaos that is the universe presents us with something, we are good enough to be able to turn that into something that gets us closer, that gets us going in the right directions. As you were saying, the approach to the right direction as opposed to the place where you want to be is great, because it's When people say it's about the journey, that's what they mean. They don't mean, ooh, it doesn't matter where you're going, just enjoy the walking. Like, no, walking can suck if it's too long or whatever. It's about
Yeah,
not focusing on, not focusing so much on the destination because you don't know where you're going to end up. You should focus on
yeah,
the direction because you know that you're going in the right direction.
exactly. That thing that you said about fans wanting, if they want a wrestler, they can tell the promoter. Would a promoter prefer that in an email, a carefully worded email?
It depends from promoter to promoter. I've been
Okay.
discussing it with plenty of promoters. There's promoters who love to see what the fans want and love to hear what they have to say and try to be to see the recommendations that they have. They try to be super flexible to try and see what's hot right now so that they can kind of capitalize on that. And then there's other promoters who book their shows months in advance and have plans set in stone for 2.5 years. Is that fair? And they just follow those things, and both of them are viable. You just have to take the cons with the pros of both approaches, right? If you're going to go with one approach, if you're going to be flexible, you need to have the con of sometimes going to be hard to tell long-term storytelling. Sometimes you're going to not going to be able to have the people available that you want. If you want to go for the long-term storytelling thing, sometimes the rug gets pulled from underneath your feet and it feels weird. It just feels weird. That's the things happen a certain way, but that's nothing's ever going to be perfect, right?
Of course not. Of course not.
Michael, tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me at the OJMO and pretty much all social media platforms. MichaelOku.com is where you can get merchandise. I made a little tab on MichaelOku.com about like my 2024 date schedule. I'm gonna try my best to like actually update that and like this is my schedule for the thing because I saw the analytics and I was like, oh, people are actually clicking this. Maybe I should care. So yeah, you can get a little bit of info from my website, and maybe one day my website will just be the go-to source of where you can get all info from me. But yeah, the OJMO at the OJMO. That's the key.
That was Ask Me Anything, the show where my guests come to my show and ask me questions because they want to know the answers. And I mean, who wouldn't? Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.